It's a Kovacs report. We're back with lots more comic book reviews with Jimmy X. Hello, Jimmy.
Hey.
Here we go.
Hey, man.
So, interesting week for comics, mate. Very interesting.
Yeah, a mixed bag, to be sure.
A mixed bag, eh? A mixed bag. Right, shall we jump into it? Yeah, I know you want to do it. Let's do it. So, Destro, it continues. Is Skybound keeping up the faith of the masses?
Yeah. So Destro issue 5, published by Image and Skybound, written by Dan Watters, who's about to take over Nightwing next month, with art and cover art by Andrei Bressan. And James McCullen Destro, the 25th, is the masked head of tech company Mars Industries. After forming a tentative alliance with Cobra Commander to use the recently discovered alien power source known as Energon, he takes over the East European nation of Darklonia, installing his cousin Darklon as puppet prime minister, so he can hold a tech fair to check on this competition. The Crimson Twins, Tomax and Xamot, CEOs of extensive industries, are his closest competitors in the field, as well as heiress Astoria Carlton Ritz and her firm, Hybrid Technologies. There's a drone missile strike. It decimates the event, and Destro assumes that due to their absence, it must be the twins. And it kicks off a war between them. The twins hire, it basically escalates. The twins hire a female assassin called Chameleon, believing Destro taken care of, convinced Darklon to sell Mars Industries to them and bring in Cobra Commander as a partner to them. Unknown to the twins, Destro is not dead. Unmasked Chameleon is Miss Carlton Ritz. Yeah, that was confusing as hell. With her confessing that the twins didn't attack the weapons fair after all. She was approached by an unknown individual offering her access to a power source to build a Skynet-style defense missile space station. And it was that station, that's known as Overkill, that attacked his weapons fair, and as it saw him as the biggest threat on planet Earth. So Destro then returns to Mars Industries with this information, stopping the hostile takeover in a fistfight, besting and sparing the twins and saying the three parties should all basically work together under the banner of Cobra, which, let's face it, is what we were all waiting for.
Indeed.
With this alliance formed, Destro launches his private missiles into space that destroys Overkill once and for all, and then he realizes that Cobra Commander was the one working with Miss Carlton Ritz the entire time on the construction and the attack. He then punishes his cousin for selling Mars Industries to the twins by encasing his head in a similar molten metal mask to his own. And that's how the issue ends. But there's a very cool epilogue. We see a chunk of Cybertron that was sliced off by the closing portal in the excellent Transformers issue 12, falling to Earth, witnessed with glee by Cobra Commander, with him hissing, "Oh, Cybertron, have you sent me more gifts?"
Oh.
Yeah, so it's all setting up for the big new G.I. Joe series that launches next month, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, I bet you are.
Yeah, so to sum up the G.I. Joe books so far, Cobra Commander and Duke were both really good miniseries, both written by Joshua Williamson, very strong. Scarlet and Destro, although I have enjoyed Destro, Scarlet was not as strong, unfortunately. No. It did have a cool ending with Storm Shadow getting the Energon sword. That was pretty cool. But yeah, Dan Watters and Kelly Thompson didn't do as good a job as Joshua Williamson. So I'm really glad that it's him, along with original artist Tom Riley, on the G.I. Joe ongoing book starting next month.
Nice. Well, that'll be reviewed by you, no doubt, my friend, no doubt. So a thumbs up for Destro, yeah?
Well, fingers crossed. He's hoping.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. That was a pretty good issue of Destro, yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Okay, moving on to Batman Full Moon. So this is by Rodney Barnes, who's quite famous anyway. He does a lot of writing outside of comics. With art by Stevan Subic. So it's an Elseworld story from Black Label. And I always like the Black Label books because they're a bit more adult and they're a bit more darker. So this opens with a brutal massacre at Wayne Pharmaceuticals, right? And it's a crime that sends shockwaves through Gotham. Batman and Commissioner Gordon quickly realise that the culprit is no ordinary criminal, Jim. No, but a supernatural being. In fact, it's a werewolf, which was revealed later on, right? And that werewolf is Mr. Christian Talbot. So Talbot, he's quite a tragic figure, right? He's a man cursed with lycanthropy. He's lost control over the beast within him. And his backstory adds complexity to the plot. Because he's portrayed not just your standard villain who's out there trying to kill people, but it's a man that's desperate for a cure, trapped in a cycle of violence and transformation, and racked with guilt because he's killing people. So he's a good guy trapped in a bad situation. So there's a dual narrative structure throughout the issue that alternates between Bruce Wayne and Talbot. So while Batman is investigating the killings, we hear Talbot's internal struggle, right? That's all explored. And it creates this sense of empathy for him, which is really cool. And that's amplified when you discover he was being held captive and probably experimented on at the Wayne Pharmaceuticals lab that's just been decimated, and where he's murdered everybody in there, probably escaping. So Batman has always approached the case with skepticism towards the supernatural, relying heavily on his detective skills and advanced technology. Although after the werewolf almost kills him in a brutal battle in the park, it becomes clear he's going to need some help, right? Later on, he meets Dr. Kurt Langstrom, Man-Bat, and he's also been investigating the Lycan, and he's got first-hand experience on fighting an inner demon, right? We all know about that. So a bit later on, the werewolf attacks become much more frequent and much more savage. Batman begins to understand that Talbot is not entirely in control of his actions and is consumed by the curse that he bears. So he's starting to have sympathy for him, but he needs to stop it, right? So Batman asks Zatanna to help with the case, and she quickly warns him that this is super dangerous, right? To complicate things further, John Constantine has decided to get involved too. Now, in this story, Batman and Zatanna are a thing. They're getting it on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. But when Constantine gets involved, not only is he an ally on the case, but he's sort of rivaling for Zatanna's attention. I don't blame him. Course, it's Zatanna, right? Yeah. So Talbot is struggling to deal with the guilt and has gone to seek solace at a church. However, the full moon rises, he transforms back into the killer werewolf, and then Batman and Man-Bat, they storm the church, and a vicious battle unfolds, right? So both Man-Bat and Batman, they're defeated pretty much, right? And all with fresh new bite marks on them. I know. That's how it ends. So what's going to happen? We got 3 werewolves running around? Have we got a bat wolf? I don't know, mate, but it's just, it was really good, right? It's gripping, supernatural mystery, weaves together horror, action, emotional depth, got everything. Fantastic script. And Stevan Subic's artwork is stunning. It just amplifies it, adds that extra dark layer and eerie tone to the story. So all in all, absolutely good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. Batman's a bit more arrogant in this. It feels like he's had a few scuffles with some big name villains, and he's got a bit of a head of himself. But it's really interesting. I'd give it a go. Okay. Moving on to one of your favourites, good old Moon Knight.
Yeah, Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu, issue 1, published by Marvel, written by Jed MacKay, art by Alessandro Cappuccio, and cover art by David Paratore. Mark Spector, the Moon Knight, has formed a team helping him protect those who travel at night in New York City. A disparate group, including good vampires and ex-villains, known as the Midnight Mission. Now, Spectre died, saving the city from a bomb, but recently was resurrected by the moon god Khonshu and has resumed his mission. Along with Uncanny X-Men and Ultimate Spider-Man, Moon Knight is one of the strongest titles that Marvel is currently putting out, in my opinion. So why was I disappointed in this issue?
Oh, you weren't, Jim,
The writing by Jed MacKay is as strong as the rest of his work on the character. And Alessandro Cappuccio's moonlit, gritty artwork is absolutely sublime. Just a shame that half this issue is spent on recapping events from the previous 40 issues. Again. I understand they want to be new reader friendly, but I found it very, very frustrating as someone who's up to date. Anyway, the framing device for this glorified recap is a conversation between former police detective Flint, who's long worked the streets during Moon Knight's tenure, with him consulting new female boss, Frasier. They discuss Spectre's sacrifice and resurrection, with Frasier eager to paint the Midnight Mission as a cult, with Moon Knight as cult leader. She keeps sniffing during the conversation too, and tries to bribe Flint to help her, but he walks out saying he ain't no snitch. Second half of the book, however, is much, much better, and we see Spectre decked out in his Mr. Knight outfit that Warren Ellis and Declan Shalvey came up with in their run on the title.
Is that cracking the suit?
Heads and bust.
Is that like the little suit? Okay, cool.
Yeah, the Mr. Knight outfit. Cracking heads and busted his way into an underground nightclub. You can't come in. There's a dress code, shout the panicked doorman. Impossible. Can't you see I'm dressed to kill? Shoots back Moon Knight, fighting his way through to an impromptu sit-down with rich boy / gangster / club owner Achilles Fairchild, along with his black female bodyguard, Carver. Now, she's a former Roxxon private military agent who carries a sword from Vanaheim, a souvenir from a mission where she was the sole survivor. Spectre angrily drops a bag of drugs on the desk, which we learn is literal fairy dust from another realm, street name, glitter. This is more addictive than any Earth drug, able to turn users into addicts in record time. Now, Knight knows that Fairchild is the only one pushing glitter on his streets and tells him to stop now or he'll kill him. And that's him being nice. At the end of the issue, we see the two stories link up because Cop Frazier is revealed to be, yes, a glitter addict, hence the sniffing earlier, and in the pocket of Fairchild with him urging her to take care of his little moonknight problem. So yeah, like I said, half this book was recap. I don't want more recap. I want more stories.
But Jim, like, if you were a new reader coming on, would
if
it
I
be...
was a new reader coming on, okay. If I look at it through that lens, then it's a great issue.
You just want more Moon Knight action, don't you, Jim?
I do. And there's a beautiful omnibus of Jed MacKay on the horizon covering his run. Yeah. So I actually want to pick that up. Who wants to check it out?
You'll have to ask Mrs. X to put that on the Christmas list, right?
Okay. But yeah, anyway, I mean, strong issue. If you're a new reader, I'd definitely pick it up.
Amazing. All right, you know what's next, Jim?
Hell's yeah.
Yeah, that's my impression of Wolverine. Wasn't very good.
Snicked.
Wolverine 2, written by Saladin Ahmed and art by Martín Cóccolo. So issue 1 was really good fun, actually. If you remember, we reviewed it in another episode. So straight into the action. Okay, so after the big dust up with Cyber, Logan is still in the Canadian wilds, camping out in the snow, trying to enjoy a sunrise. But we always know that whenever Wolverine gets a little peaceful moment, it's going to be interrupted, right? And this time it's by heavily armed and armoured Department H agents who are looking for a man with claws who eviscerated a few unlucky campers and Mounties last issue. The manhunt has begun. So their squad leads one of those sort of unquestioning, thick-headed types, right? And but there is one agent there, Agent Meta. She warns that the reports that they've got of this clawed man might be biased, and not to start making assumptions. Wolverine obviously sniffs them out. He says, you know what? The best way to avoid them is by following them, keeping myself out of the way. So he trails them for a few hours, and their search is fruitless. Obviously, they don't find anything. Now, while the Department H agents regroup, they're back at the vans, sorting themselves out, and a bit of lunch, I don't know. Wendigo, or a Wendigo, attacks Wolverine, right? However, there's something off about this one. It seems to be less aggressive, right? Usually, they can rival the Hulk savagery, right? Usually, even Wolverine has trouble putting one down. So he quickly defeats this Wendigo, right? Because something's not right. But before he can deliver the killing blow, the Wendigo asks for help, which shouldn't be possible because part of the Wendigo curse means they can only speak their own name, which is Wendigo, right? So he's like, something's wrong here, bub. Anyway, wounded and defeated, the Wendigo runs away. And Wolverine realizes this Wendigo must be just a kid that's caught up in this Wendigo curse, so he follows him to a derelict cabin, of course, where the Wendigo hands him a journal, which explains that 2 kids ran away from a group home and got trapped in the woods, right? This one's called Leonard, by the way. They were trapped in the woods during a storm, the snow. One of them got ill. They started starving, and it looks like the kid got a little bit too hungry and may have had a little nibble on his friend, which triggered this curse. So that's the backstory on Leonard the Wendigo, right? So Wolverine decides to help the kid, because he feels, I've got help before this kid deserves help. But as he's trying to do that, the Department H agents turn up and start shooting, as usual, no questions first, right? They escape. And hours later, the Wendigo's hunger is becoming insatiable, right? He needs to eat, right? And Wolverine's finding it much harder to control the Wendigo. But to make things worse, the Wendigo's caught a scent of human blood. And he speeds off towards the scent, hotly pursued by Wolverine. And they find what looks to be that Department H team leader from earlier, wounded and about to become the Wendigo's dinner. Pretty good. It was good fun. I expected the Cyber story to continue, but they've done this little diversion, you know what? And it was good. It was still good, still full of action. It was Wolverine. Loved it. Right. Totally recommend. Look at that cover. 50 years of Wolverine, man. 50 years. Doesn't look a day over 250. Right, moving on. From one X-Man to the Uncanny X-Men. Yeah. Hold on. For this, you know what, mate? For this, I'm just going to turn this on. There you go. You've got your own Jimmy X logo.
Oh, that's amazing. Thanks, man.
There we go, mate. Going to turn it off now. You only get that when you're a good boy.
Easy come, easy go.
Yeah.
Uncanny X-Men issue 4, written by Marvel. Published by Marvel, written by Gail Simone with art and cover art there by David Marquez. And again, just beautiful
Stunning.
artwork by this man. So previously in Uncanny X-Men, Rogue, Gambit, Nightcrawler, Jubilee, and Wolverine have reunited and they're currently holed up with Gambit's friends in a Louisiana farmhouse known as Haven, training 4 brand new mutants. One of them known to be the Endling that will end mutant kind. The new mutants are known as the Outliers, and they're being hunted by Sarah Gaunt, former love of X-Men mentor Charles Xavier, now a monstrous woman, straight out of Nightmare on Elm Street, if you can picture it. In an attempt to protect the others, Wolverine's gone off to fight Gaunt in the isolation of the woods, failing in combat and being very, very badly wounded. So Rogue feels he's dying, and Nightcrawler teleports her to the scene immediately. They find Wolverine torn up and in really bad shape, with Kurt returning to Haven with him. As leader, Rogue steps up to take down Gaunt and protect her family. This issue is basically one huge, beautifully illustrated, visceral fight scene between Rogue and Sarah Gaunt, with both of them alternating and gaining the upper hand, trash-talking each other as they clash. In the flashbacks, we learned that Sarah was pregnant with Xavier's child, and that as a 9-year-old kid, she lost him in a flood caused by a hurricane, as well as dying, sinking into the floodwater and emerging after 3 days, making the transformation into her current state. We also learned it in another cutaway to Grey Malkin prison from creepy, bold crutch user Philip that Gaunt is only out to kill the Outliers. Her fight with Rogue is a mere distraction. Reminding Warden Karina Ellis, the eldest of the Outliers, is only 17 years old, the same age as her brother. Now, this triggers something in Ellis, leading her to make the out-of-character decision to contact and warn the X-Men and Gambit of Sarah's plan. She only wants to kill the kids, and she sent her small army of terrifying individuals to do this. The hosts head to the basement, and Gambit suggests that the Outliers do the same. The X-Men will do their best to protect them. The kids refuse, saying that they stand with them. As ungodly forces start to surround them, a partly healed Logan hauls himself back to his feet, telling his comrades to point me at the bad guys while I can still stand straight. As the issue ends, yes, this was an absolutely stunning return to form for Uncanny X-Men, and I absolutely love this issue.
Mate, you got me excited on the edge of my seat. I'm definitely going to catch up with that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic book.
So, definite Jimmy thumbs up, right? Yeah,
there it is.
There it is. Amazing, amazing. I'm glad that's getting back on form, because that first issue was such a stellar start, wasn't it, man?
Really was.
So, from X-Man to X-Men to Mystique.
Yeah.
Number 1, written and drawn by Declan Shalvey from Marvel, obviously. I had a lot of high hopes for this, because who doesn't like Mystique, Jim, right? If you didn't like Mystique before the movies, you're bound to love her after the movies, right? So I thought I've got to give it a try. So this is Marvel reintroducing like a post-Krakoa Mystique with this little five-part mini. And like I said, it's drawn by Declan Shalvey and written by him. So Maverick is leading a squad of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents on a mission in Frankfurt, Germany, right? They're there to hunt down Sabretooth. However, he's nowhere to be seen, Jim. Nope. What they do find is, guess what? Mystique, right? And after murdering 2 S.H.I.E.L.D. teams and some shape-shifting trickery, leaves only Maverick alive, and she wants to know where the mysterious protozoa device is. But you know what? That bitch ain't talking. He ain't. He's not telling her nothing, and he's left in a very bad state. Anyway, the other part of this book is split following desk jockey Nick Fury Jr. Nick Fury Jr., Nick Fury's son, right? Who's old man himself, Nick Fury Sr. Yeah, right? He secretly asked him to look into Mystique. However, S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't the all-powerful organisation it used to be. It's being run on a budget. They don't have a helicarrier to send out every time something happens. So Maria Hill signs off on the investigation, but tells him to keep it on budget. Now, while trying to figure out how to approach this situation, Mystique just decides to blow the shit out of him as he opens his door to his house. So, Nick Fury Jr. just goes up in flames, and there's a lot of them. Now, side note. Now, I know we can believe a man can crawl up a wall and someone can fire laser beams out of their fingers and a woman can morph into any being, but Nick Fury Jr. turns up at his door, he's putting the key in the lock, he's got his really nice office suit on, his little tie, no gloves, really well...
A lethal weapon or something.
Right, but, he's just looking really smart. And the house blows up, the flames engulf everything, and then he steps out of the flames with the suit burnt off him on flames in full, S.H.I.E.L.D. uniform, body armour, big pouch belt, and gloves. I'm like, he couldn't have been wearing that underneath. And he couldn't have got changed in the fire. I'm like, what's going on? Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to point that out because it stuck me for a moment. It was like a really cool page, like crawling out the fire. But I was like, hold on a minute.
It did feel a little jarring, I won't lie.
Yeah, okay, you got it too. Okay, good, I'm glad. Anyways, back to Mystique, right? Now, well, the little things, right? Anyway, she blows up this yacht, which belongs to this rich woman who happens to be on there, on the phone, sunbathing, being a rich woman, because she's been financing some anti-mutant group. And shortly after that boat gets blown up and plows into the shore, she assumes that woman's identity. Now, the issue ends as it begins, right? And it begins with a red-haired woman with her back to us typing the narration of this issue in a nice little house, except the ending, unlike the beginning, has Nick Fury Jr. and a SHIELD team bursting into the house and shooting her, with the last panel showing a presumably dead body with a pool of blood forming around a gold eyeless mask, implying that it's Destiny, Mystique's wife. So is Irene Adler dead? We don't know. I'm sure they're going to bait and switch us here, but have they just killed Mystique's wife? She's going to be very upset.
If she is, after coming back after nearly 40 years of being dead just recently, then that's a really huge decision.
Got to be a bait and switch, right? It's got to be a bait and switch.
I would say so. I mean, the stuff that Mystique went through on Krakoa to get this Destiny back, yeah,
well, it's one of them. It's one of them because if you look at the hand, it's wearing a wedding ring as well. They snuck that in there. So I don't know. I know. I tell you what do I think of it? Well, I like the art a lot. I thought the art was really cool, really suited the story. I thought the story was okay. I didn't think it was like mind-blowingly cool, but I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it. I think I think it could go somewhere. I mean, but the ending sort of pulled it back into me. I'm like, oh, if that's true, this could be like really, really, really big and messed up. So yeah, I didn't mind it. I'll give it a thumbs up. If you're a Mystique fan.
After one issue, I think it's the second strongest book of the relaunch.
Wow. That's tough talk, Jim. So what did you love so much? Give us your thoughts.
I just really enjoyed the handle he had on all the characters and stuff. Maverick and Sabretooth and everything, really, yeah. I thought it was up there with his Terminator issue last week. I thought it was very strong.
Oh, high praise, especially from Jim. High praise indeed.
Declan Shalvey's one to watch, I think.
Honestly, you are 100% right there. We called it here probably about not first, second, third, but we're calling it, all right? We're in that group of people that are calling it because he's stellar. So moving on to the spider section of the show. That's it. Spectacular Spider-Man issue 8. Spectacular Spider-Men issue 8, published by Marvel, written by Gargoyles creator Greg Weisman, with art by Emilio Laso and Andre Ginale, with cover art there by Humberto Ramos. He was previously the interior artist, but not on this arc. Supposedly, this is kicking off a brand new arc after the brainwashing Arcadium story of the last 7 issues. And this one is frustratingly dealing with more of the fallout from the previous arc, rather than forging ahead. Oh.
After a nefarious scheme forged by supervillains Arcade and Metallo is foiled by Peter Parker and Miles Morales, the Spectacular Spider-Men and supporting characters of the book were patrons of the classic Spidey-affiliated coffee shop, The Coffee Bean, are trying to pick up the pieces and suffering tremendous loss after believing they were all living out their perfect lives, happy with their perfect partners who, for whatever reason, they couldn't be together with in reality. In Peter Parker's case, a perfect life with lost loved Gwen Stacy. For Miles Morales, a continued relationship with old flame Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. This trickery has affected every single patron of the Coffee Bean, and the crew decide to start group therapy sessions, trying to help each other through their shared loss and grief. It's unanimously decided that they do, in fact, need a psychiatrist to lead the sessions, and Peter Parker's got a good idea where to find one. So he swings across the city as Spider-Man to seek out fellow spider-powered hero Silk, aka Cindy Moon. She's embroiled in a skirmish with new female version of Electro, wearing a variation on Maxwell Dillon's classic yellow and green costume. When spotting Spidey, this new Electro flees the scene, noting she wants no part of his insulated, i.e. non-organic webbing. Peter asks Cindy if she can give him the name of her shrink, who helped her readjust after she had life in a bunker for decades for the group, and she gladly obliges. Elsewhere in the city, the previously mentioned original Elektra, Max Dillon, is angered by the news report of a young female counterpart. She couldn't have gone with Elektra, he says. The barman says, I think that's taken too.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good line. Then he rants about her ruining his brand and he's going to have to deal with her. Back at the coffee bean, the self-therapy sessions are continuing until one woman is shocked when her perfect fantasy partner from the fake reality walks into the coffee shop in real life. Now, after confirming that this girl really doesn't know she exists, she bafflingly, from out of nowhere, has a reaction, turning her body into first vapor and then liquid, with a panicked Miles Morales pledging to help her as the issue reaches its conclusion. Now, I had high hopes for this. The new arc of Spider-Man book. I made it through the first story arc, even though it was confusing and long.
Yeah.
And I was hoping for a fresh story. I didn't get that. I think I'm done with this book, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Can't recommend it. And I wanted to because I love Spider-Man. Yeah, I was really hoping that this is going to be good. And it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
The best Spider-Man story I have read this week is Astonishing Spider-Man. It's an Infinity Marvel comic. And you can read the first 2 issues for free. It's by Scott Aukerman. And he's got a really good handle on the character. He's got some really good humor. I mean, he's a comedy writer. He does the Comedy Bang Bang podcast and the Comedy Bang Bang spin-off TV show thing, which is really, really funny as well. So the hope of Spider-Man, the future of Spider-Man lies with Scott Aukerman right now. Oh. But of course, we got John Kelly coming in on Amazing next month. So I'm hoping for good stuff.
Speaking of the future of Spider-Man, Jim, we go from the spectacular to the ultimate.
Oh yeah. I
you see how I did that?
About this.
Yeah, son. Yeah, I didn't forget about it. Oh, Jonathan Hickman. Art by David Messina this issue. He's taking over the duties, I think, for this issue. And I tell you what, it doesn't affect anything. It's still stunningly good. Stunningly good. Right. Oh, I rub my hands. Okay, Ben Parker and J. Jonah Jameson have an uncomfortable and unannounced, I tell you, meeting with James Weasley, right? Or Wesley. But he reminds me of he looks Weasley. Anyway, he's Wilson Fisk's lawyer, right? And they're at some swanky golf club. So they're questioning about the sale of the Stain Stark Industries company, right? And they want to know who the buyer was because it's been bounced you a huge number of like shell companies. They're trying to track down who ultimately bought this. So Wesley is, as expected, evasive and eventually has them escorted out by security. Now, after some digging, they trace the sale of the company to Oscorp and they fix a meeting with Gwen Stacy, who, if you're not reading the book, she's currently running Oscorp. But yet again, they leave empty-handed with Gwen, very unhappy, threatening to pull the plug on the paper because she's helped finance the newspaper in the beginning. She is pissed. Anyway, later on, Ben is at a family dinner at the Parker household discussing the situation. Gwen's asked Peter to find out when they are going to run the story, right? And they tell MJ she can let Gwen know it will run in a week. Now, they did this to try and flush everybody out, right? So on hearing this, Harry visits Ben and Jonah's office and he wants them to kill the story and he wants to know what they're up to. They tell Harry that it's pretty coincidental that Flying Hero showed up around the same time Oscorp acquired the Stain Stark Industries company and all the tech that comes with it. Furthermore, they believe Harry's the Green Goblin and they want to know why would Fisk sell him the very means they are using to destroy him. Right, Harry gets pissed off too, and he starts firing up his suit. Right, it looks so cool. But Ben calms him down, basically. All right, Ben calms him down, and Harry demands to know what they're fishing for, and they decide to come clean. Right, they come clean and say, "Listen, it's Fisk we're after. We are after Fisk, not you." So, realizing that they're allies, Harry gives them the golden bullet. The files from the Stain Stark company computers, all right, that exposes what Fisk and his people have been up to for decades, who the Maker is, what the Maker's done to the world, and also that the Maker's Council are the people responsible for the explosion that killed not only Harry's parents, but Ben's wife too. Whew. Hot stuff, right? Anyway, Harry warns them that publishing this information using their names will put them and their loved ones in grave danger. But they have a plan. These are seasoned newsmen, my friend, right? And as they work into the night, they finish a story and they hit publish. And the writer credit is none other than Ben Reilly. Oh, yeah. Okay. So listen, no spider action in this issue, which I'm sure some people will be super disappointed about.
Yeah.
But I
come
really
on.
enjoy this calm before the storm issue, right? The tension is palpable. The interactions felt real, and it's really ramping up to some huge showdown, right? That Hickman's been crafting for 10 issues already. Again, not everyone's cup of tea because there's no Spider-Man action. Slow burn. But I thought Hickman nailed it. Messina's art was absolutely first class.
Yeah.
I love this book. It was so very, very, very good. Did you read it too?
Yeah, what you had here in this issue was Jonathan Hickman channeling Brian Michael Bendis
100%.
in Ultimate Spider-Man. And that was absolutely fantastic. And hats off, Hickman. You did it again.
He certainly did, didn't he? He certainly did. Right then, what's next on the list, Jim? I wonder.
It would be Book of the Week.
It will be Book of the Week, won't it? So, what's your Book of the Week?
My Book of the Week is, Uncanny X-Men.
Uncanny X-Men.
Issue 4.
Nice.
Really
nice.
cool. Well done, guys.
For me, it's going to be... When is it isn't? I've got to say it again, Ultimate Spider-Man 10. I just really loved it. I really, really loved it. With a close second would be that Batman book. That was super, super, super good. So, what are you looking forward to next week, Jim? It's a big week, by the way.
I've got a heck of a week next week, man. I know the 4 books I'm going to be looking at. They are Absolute Wonder Woman issue 1, Void Rivals issue 13,
Ooh.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 3, and Daniel Warren Johnson's The Moon is Following Us, which has just completed its 3rd sellout printing.
Wow. All
3 printings of issue 1 have sold out. Issue 2 is out next week. I cannot wait.
Amazing. That's a big week, Jim.
Yeah.
I've got an equally big week. I'm going to read Absolute Wonder Woman, of course. Not everyone likes it, but I like Dark Empty Void. There's Double Gatchaman, Horizon Experiment, Damned 1, Iron Man 1, Nightwing, which I didn't review.
How are you going to pick 4 out of that?
I know. I'm finished, and there's more. There's Nightwing with a new creative team, but I didn't review the final issue of the art this week, so I wanted to jam in some other stuff. The Power Fantasy 3, Tin Can Society 2, and Zatanna. Huge week. Huge. Anyway, that's it for now. Yeah, I know what we're going to do. Might have to make the show longer. We're trying to cut the show down and might have to make it longer. I don't know. Anyway, it's a thank you for both of us. Please subscribe. Please follow the channel. Please help us grow. We'd really appreciate it. For now, goodbye and see you next week.